When you're selling your house and you get it under contract, you may think that your job is done. But wait, there's more! Because some of the biggest problems happen after you sign those papers, but yet before you actually close and transfer ownership. And this stuff happens every single day. This is the stuff that include many delays that are unexpected, many costly mistakes, and in some cases, the whole deal falls apart. It happens, and that's why I'm making this video. It's for you, because I don't want you to fall into this trap. I'm Jerry Pincus, your real estate expert. I've been doing this for the last 20 years, and my team has closed thousands and thousands of deals, and I'm here to help you to avoid those pitfalls that are costly. So in this video, I'm going to give you 7 common mistakes that homeowners make after their house is under contract. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how to avoid them so you can keep your sale on track and save yourself from disaster. So give me a thumbs up if you're good with that. So here they are in descending order. Number 7, home inspection issues. Now this is one of the most common things that you're going to find once your house is under contract. It's the inspection. Now buyers typically go through a home inspection process and they want to identify any hidden issues with the house. But if the inspection finds things like a leaky roof or old wiring or mold or cracks in the foundation, this is the stuff that can really worry the buyer, and depending on how bad these problems really are and how well they handle them, this news can be devastating. And based on the condition of your home, buyers are going to ask you to do one of 3 things. A, fix the issues. B, lower the price. Or C, even cancel the whole deal. And that's why going through a pre-listing inspection before you list that house for sale can be one of the safest bets here, because this will help you identify and address any problems right up front before you even list the house for sale. And also you can stay prepared for what your home buyer's inspection will actually reveal. Now, one thing I want to point out is if you've already repaired an issue, be prepared to show proof for that. Show your receipts, your warranties, contractor documentation. This is the stuff that can save you from unnecessary back and forth. For example, if the buyer is concerned about a roof and you've recently replaced it or you've patched it or had it fixed and repaired, having those receipts ready could ultimately eliminate all of their concerns. Now, let's say that you did not have a home inspection before you put your house up on the market. Now, the buyer has an inspection and finds a problem. Just know that the skill and experience of the real estate agent on the other side should be able to help the buyers figure out what to do. And your listing agent with lots of experience should be able to give you good, solid advice and guidance in negotiating this deal as well. You could either fix the problem yourself or give the buyer money to fix it after they close on the house or lower the selling price. For example, if that inspection finds roof damage and it's going to cost something crazy money, or let's say even $10,000 to fix, you might not have that cash money up front, right? So you give the buyer a $10,000 credit so that they can fix the roof themselves after closing, and the sale can still go on without any more delays. And you may not want the buyer to walk away from the deal, and that's what this is, a negotiation. Number 6 is the low appraisal value. Now, again, this stuff happens all the time. A low appraisal can cause big problems when selling your house. And if you didn't know, here's how it actually happens. The buyer's loan company or the bank hires a third party to check the house and let the bank know if this house is really worth the price that all parties have agreed to. And if the appraiser says that the house is worth less than the agreed price, the bank might not give the buyer the full loan that they actually need. Now, why does this happen sometimes? Because banks and mortgage lenders use appraisals to protect their investments. They're loaning money. They want to ensure that if the buyer defaults on this loan, they can sell that house and recoup the money. If the appraisal is lower than the loan amount, the lender takes on more risk than allowed. And this eventually leads to negotiations to adjust the price, delay the selling process, or completely kill that deal. So you should be prepared for all scenarios. And in most cases, the buyer will ask you to lower the sales price to match the appraised value. And this is the most common outcome. But let's say that you think that the house appraisal came in completely wrong. You can challenge it. And you're going to have to find similar homes in your area with similar square footages, similar options that recently sold for a higher price. These are called comps. For example, if you have similar houses that sold for $400,000 and more, and your house is less than that, you need to show that information to the bank and ask them to review the appraisal again. But you also have to keep in mind that this can take a lot of time and might not even change the original appraisal. Now, another option is to ask the bank for a second appraisal, which can cause even more delays. So if you're in a hurry to sell, or the buyer needs to close quickly or on a certain date, this might not be the best idea. However, sometimes the buyer might be willing to pay the extra money themselves, and that is, if they have it, to make up the difference between that lower appraisal price and the agreed price. And this really depends entirely on how much money they actually have in cash and how much they really want your house. For example, if the appraisal came in $10,000 lower than the price, your buyer might choose to pay that $10,000 in cash if they really want your house. Number 5 is financial issues. Now, even after you've signed a contract to sell your house, problems with the buyer's loan can stop the sale at the last minute. You might think everything's moving along smoothly, but the buyers might get turned down for a mortgage because their credit score has changed, or they've lost their job at the end, or they have too much debt compared to what their income is. Now, this is a pretty common problem, especially if the buyer's offer depends on them getting that loan. So first off, you want to stay in touch with the buyer's real estate agent. A good agent will keep you updated on how that buyer's loan application is going forward. And if you're worried about the buyer's finances, make sure that you're working with a trusted bank or mortgage company and they've already got a pre-approved loan. Although a pre-approval is not a guarantee to get any loan, it's certainly better than being pre-qualified. And if you try to get a backup offer when you first list that house, this gives you a backup plan just in case that first buyer's loan actually falls through. And a backup offer means that you can immediately start working with another buyer without putting your house back onto the market if the other one falls out. Number 4 is title issues. See this happening all the time as well. Problems with your house's title and legal ownership can stop the deal entirely, right even before closing. Now, you may not even know this is something that you've got a problem with. The thing is that most sellers don't know that there's a problem with it until it's too late. That's why I've seen some sellers actually do a title search before listing their house. Now, this can find problems early so that you have time to fix them without the pressure of a closing deadline. Now, for even more complicated problems like disagreements about ownership or issues with shared property rights, make sure that you have a good real estate lawyer. Now, they can clear up the confusion and work out a solution for all parties involved. I've seen it happen many times. Although most title problems can be fixed, they do take time and effort. And that's why you want to solve them before you list your house on the market, especially if you know that there's an issue, so that you're not rushed during that closing process and you're not losing a legitimate buyer. Number 3 is the buyer's change of mind. Now, sometimes buyers do get cold feet and they change their minds after signing a contract. And maybe it's because problems that they discovered in the neighborhood, or they simply find another house that they prefer better than yours. So whatever the reason is, as a home seller, you must be prepared for these issues and know how to deal with them. Now, first, you have to fully understand all contingencies in the contract that you sign. Now, buyers' contracts will often include clauses that'll let them cancel a deal for certain things when they happen. Something like a bad inspection result, or not getting a loan, or a low appraisal. And if the buyer cancels because of one of these valid reasons, there's not much you can do about it except for put your house back on the market. But if the buyer decides to walk away without any valid contingency, as a seller, you can keep the pre-agreed amount of money that was paid by the buyer. This money is called earnest money deposit, and it's like a payment for the buyer breaking the contract. And this deposit is usually between like 1% and 3% of the house price, but this could differ depending on where you live and what the buyer originally agreed to in that contract. Now, since they broke this agreement for no good reason, that is, you may be awarded this money to make up for your time and your effort. Now, I'm not an attorney and I'm not an accountant, but I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm a professional real estate broker and I've seen a lot of crap. I just want to ensure that when you're selling a house, you have the expert. Not average, but way above average. So next up on our list is number 2, issues with closing costs and timing. Now, when you're nearing the end of that closing date, it's important to have a realistic expectation because delays, they can happen, and this can happen due to missing paperwork or even lender issues. So you want to stay in close contact with everyone who's involved, including the agent, the title company, and the lender, because a quick phone call or an email can prevent small problems from snowballing into a major delay. Now, another common issue with closing costs is expenses can actually exceed the amount that either party is expecting. So when it becomes a shock, guess what? People are like, So it's better to request a breakdown from your agent or your title company early in the process. You know why? Because this way you and the buyer have a clear understanding of what to actually expect. And sometimes sellers even agree to pay some of the buyer's closing costs as part of the deal. Just make sure that you've included that into your budget. And last on our list is number 1, repairs or renovations that are not completed. Now look, things that you've agreed to fix or renovate can cause problems right before closing, even if you tried to do it right. If these repairs aren't done by the closing date, or if they're not done correctly, it can ruin the entire sale. As a buyer, they want to know that the house is ready to move into, or at least it's how you promised it when they close. So if you're renovating, set realistic deadlines from the beginning, because contractors, they can delay and even kill a deal, and I've seen this happen. If you've promised to make repairs, you want to hire a qualified professional. Make sure you keep records of all the work, all the receipts, before and after pictures, all of that stuff. You want to make sure everything is written clearly in the contract so that you can avoid this confusion later on. Also, you really want to think carefully before agreeing to any big renovations as part of the sale. You don't need to agree on everything. You know, sometimes small fixes like a leaky faucet or a broken tile, they're pretty easy to handle. But the bigger projects like structural repairs are more complicated and they definitely can delay a closing. So if a buyer asks for major repairs, think about the actual costs and the time that it's going to take compared to the benefit of selling the house. And finally, you want to make sure that you have a real estate expert agent with you throughout that entire selling process. You don't want to pick average, as I said. Trust me, skill levels, they vary. It's just like doctors. They're not all equal. A skilled agent will guide you and make the sale much smoother. And they can prevent many of these problems from even happening in the first place. And because they have years of experience in your local area, the local expert would know what works and what doesn't in your local area. And they can offer personalized advice on presenting your home in the best light and attracting the largest pool of buyers possible. I truly wish you success with your sale. I'm Jerry with Jerry Pincus Real Estate Experts. My real estate team is here to help you find your hidden gem and to avoid those pitfalls that are costly. So if you're thinking about buying or selling real estate in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, or anywhere else in the United States, we can hook you up with the local expert. Just give us a call at 843-839-9870. And if you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell for more helpful videos like this. And let me know what's going on with you and your sale. I'd love to know your thoughts. I'd love to know it in the comments. And I truly, truly appreciate you watching and commenting on this channel. I truly appreciate you guys. So if you never want to miss one of these helpful selling videos, remember to ring that bell. See you in the next episode.